afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being able to attend this meeting early. Hopefully everybody ordered lunch or whatever. And feel free, if you need to eat now, to do so. Right. Item 1, apologies for absence. Thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. We have a potential apology from Councillor Sellis, who is indicated that may well be late.
Okay, thank you. Item 2 is confirmation of the minutes held on the 18th of January 2022. If I go through page by page, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody happy with those? Happy to note? Okay, thank you. Everybody's being exceedingly quiet. Right. Item 3, declarations of interest. Everybody knows if anything comes up. Does anyone have anything to declare now? No, if anything comes up in the meeting, please let us know. Item 5, Mr. White, do we have anybody for public forum?
None received, thank you, Chair.
Right, item 6, climate change and biodiversity action plan, 6-monthly update. This is going to be given by Councillor Lynn Daniel and officers as and when. So thank you, Councillor Daniel, if you'd like to proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to introduce the updated Natural Environment and Climate Change and Biodiversity Plan to ONS Committee. The plan for West Devon has been adopted since the last update, and the full Climate Change and Biodiversity Plan has been amended following suggestions at the previous ONS meeting. The full plan is now colour-coded. Green indicates those actions we have achieved or in action now. Amber are actions that are in planning and consideration. Red are those actions that are currently not being acted upon or not within the Council's remit to deliver. And white are areas yet to be considered, but retained as possible future plans. Some of the red-coded action may be removed if it's not possible for the Council to work on these. This full plan is a combination of the work of a previous Climate and Biodiversity Working Group and the Climate Forum, which have both provided ideas and possibilities for the Council to consider. Those who saw the first iteration will now be pleased that it's in a more accessible format. It's been streamlined and made more accessible by our Environment Officer, Adam Williams, so thank you to him. The full plan is an evolving document with delegated powers to the lead member and lead officer to adapt as situations change. As grants become available or opportunities arise, we'll be in a position to act to achieve as many of our outcomes as possible. Natural environment themes will be aligned to those of Devon Climate, Carbon and Biodiversity Plan, DCC Carbon and Biodiversity Plan. So we can use a Team Devon approach where appropriate, which puts us in a stronger position for grant funding and joint working. There are 10 main areas that we have identified within the natural environment theme, which are on track for achievement. So 1 is the phased conversion to our environmental management fleet to a greener fleet. So this has several strands of work, logistics, HR and procurement, and will be delivered as a project. We will recruit an officer via secondment to undertake the work. We are in discussion with other councils regarding potential for joint working on this project. Number 2 is increasing the availability of electric charging points across the borough. This scheme will provide 5 installation points in West Devon car parks. It is currently with Devon County Council for next step, including provider tendering. The council has entered into the Devon and Torbay residential charge point scheme. This will provide an extra dual 22 kilowatt charge point in Beer Alston, Pilgrim Drive car park, subject to the necessary surveys. Section 3, to carry out a feasibility study of renewable energy generation on council land. The council has commissioned a study into solar generation capacity for some of our car parks, and officers are now considering next steps. Additional work remains for renewables on our land and assets. Section 4, promote recycling and reduction of all types of waste at source to our residents. The communications team will continue to promote our message of waste reduction and encourage local solutions for waste. We have run a number of successful campaigns over Christmas and Halloween with plenty of ideas to reuse, reduce, repurpose, and to recycle or black bag only as a last resort. There will be continuing themes for the coming 6 months, including garden waste, Easter and bank holiday collection dates, summer litter campaign, summer fly tipping campaign, and other items if this arises. I attended the Strategic Waste Group in November, and West Devon is currently second in Devon for recycling rates, so we can be pleased with this achievement, and I hope it will spur us on to much greater things. I have been asked if we will promote local shopping and businesses. Of course, this is vital for our local economy, as well as being much better for the environment if things are produced and consumed as locally as possible. If members have a lot of questions about waste, this will be a separate topic for the ONS in the near future, as well as being part of Natural Environment Strategy's 6-monthly report. Section 5, a 10% increase in biodiversity on council land.
Mr. Molyneux would like to point out, I think we're delivering item 7 of the agenda, and we're on item 6.
Oh, sorry, I thought these were combined.
No, so if you...
No. Okay, I will not carry on with this one then.
Is everybody happy if it's done as 2?
Sorry, I conflated the 2.
All right.
So, we're on item 5, a 10% increase in biodiversity on council land. On the 1st of February, we were presented with a report detailing council land in Harrowby and Bedford Bridge as natural regeneration projects. There is a total of 8.2 hectares across the 2 sites, which could see an 80% increase in biodiversity when allowed to naturally regenerate. We have taken advice from the Woodland Trust, and natural regeneration is recommended for these sites rather than deliberate tree planting. We will apply for a grant of £7,000 from the English Woodland Creation Offer to maintain the land as it regenerates. These areas are within the Forestry Commission priority area for natural regeneration. We've been asked why not sell this land, to which I reply that once it's gone, and we'll have no chance of meeting our agreed 10% diversity increase because these are the only appropriate areas of land that the Borough Council owns. The question of carbon budgeting has been considered, but this is a decision for future councils once the regeneration is well underway. We may need to plant some trees if there are few developing naturally on the site, and this will be monitored. Number 6, support delivery of a mix of woodland on street habitat corridors and hedgerows through the Plymouth and South Devon Community Forest. This was announced in June 2021. The Plymouth and South Devon Community Forest will stretch from the city of Plymouth to the moor with the ambition to deliver 1,900 hectares of forest to form a mosaic of habitats. They are seeking interested landowners for planting in 2022 within the area through the Trees for Climate Woodland programme. We will engage with landowners and try and identify areas that may be used for this purpose, and if councillors do know of any possibilities, can they inform us? Number 7, support nature recovery through large wildlife habitats, wildlife corridors and nature preservation schemes. On February the 1st, the Hub approved awarding a 25-year lease to establish an allotment site on an underused council land at Milton Abbot. This proposal will offer a more diverse habitat as well as reducing food miles for local communities. Other opportunities for nature recovery will be developed when we have the resources. Again, working with local communities and projects will be key to success. Section 8, map our ecosystem, species, waterways and other natural capital. In late November, the first draft of the nature recovering mapping was presented to stakeholders, and this will be made public soon. Section 9, work with partners on tree planting within the borough. We continue to monitor funding opportunities to enable organisations and residents to plant trees within the borough. We promote these opportunities through our climate change newsletter, the Climate Forum, and in partnership with Devon. We'd also like councillors to remind their parish councils that this is on offer. And section 10, work with landowners and partners. In January, ONS had an update by our partner Tamar Valley Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty, and we have a representative on their board. We continue to engage with Dartmoor National Park to promote active travel to link our towns and villages. There is currently a weather-dependent short-term project promoting active travel, and hopefully this can go ahead during half-term. In March, Devon Climate Assembly will be running a public consultation on their Climate Forum actions. The West Devon Natural Environment Advisory Group discussed and responded to 3 key points in the survey by the Devon Climate Forum. These points were onshore wind, retrofitting homes and transport. These topics have the potential to be the most challenging to action, so public debate and initial survey was carried out by the Climate Forum as a steer to future action. So we hope councils will take time to respond to the Climate Assembly survey when it's available. Thank you for listening. There's a lot to be pleased about here and a lot of topics covered. So do we have any questions? We can take questions first of all about the full plan, and then we can go on to the 10 points 6 monthly update, if you like.
Thank you. I know Councillor Kimber's got quite a few questions, so we'll let him start.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you all. I'll start off with a simple question. Page 11, 4.1 and page 12, 4.4, it says that new actions are marked in red, and then on the next page it said red as suggested for deletion, but I presume that'll be sorted.
Can I just, hello, can everyone hear me? So basically, Councillor Kimber, you're now asking questions that relate to the item 6, and we're actually, what Councillor Daniels presented is item 7. So I think what we need to do is take the questions from item 7 and then go back to item 6. Is that all right?
Can I make one comment on item 7 then?
You may.
Please. Just scroll down the page. So you were talking about planting trees along hedgerows. I'm just checking to see Hatherley hosts the Devon Hedge Group, which I'm a member of, which is very interesting. And also we have a project looking at planting trees along hedgerows. So I don't know if you've met them or whether I can introduce you.
Right. Does anybody have any questions on item 7, please, on the plan? Councillor Crozier.
The question is, sorry, talking about this community. Hello. Thank you. We're talking about the community forest. We're talking about 1,900 hectares. Most people don't realise what 1,900 hectares looks like. It's 9 square.
You may elucidate if you wish.
I haven't got the figures in front of me, but it's something like 9.6 square miles. That's a very big area.
I'd like to say that in Britain we have the least tree coverage of any country in Europe, so I think it's a good thing that we are pursuing this. And we won't be covering that much land. We've only got 8 hectares that we can use for that purpose. But
well,
yes, I think I liked it.
Well, you are expecting other people to contribute land as well.
Yes. But yes.
Any other questions or comments on item 7, please? Do you have any online, Mr. Molyneux or Mr. White, whoever's monitoring?
Not yet, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Right, okay. So item 7. If we can just run through the recommendations, please, Councillor Daniel. So we are recommending that the overview and scrutiny note the progress against delivery of the Natural Environment Delivery Plan, and we're making any recommendations to the Natural Environment Agency group on further areas for exploration. Item 1, have I missed something, Councillor Mott? Does anybody have any comments on recommendation 1, please, which seems the simpler of the two? No, so we're happy to note. Golly, nobody's talking. Item 2, would anybody like to make recommendations to the Natural Environment Agency group on areas for further discussion? It's item recommendation 2, that's page 29, and it says make any recommendations to the Natural Environment Agency advisory group on areas further exploration.
It's our advisory group,
Oh, all
not
right.
agency. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, sorry. This is us, is
It's
it?
just us, yeah.
I thought we were promoting ourselves.
No.
Could I just make a point here that only 3 councillors attended the last natural advisory group. So I do feel that we weren't able to have as full a discussion as we might have done. And, you know, can I ask councillors that belong or other councillors to please advise, attend, because we can't say that we're making good decisions unless we have a consensus of opinion of the members. Thanks.
Can I add to what Councillor Daniel said there? We did have a discussion as a hub group. The advisory groups are really for members to get involved in effectively policy setting and help to start formulate the direction the council should go into. And so far, most of the groups have only had limited attendance for most of them. And actually, the whole idea of these was to involve the wider membership, so that the wider membership felt engaged in the policies that were coming forward for the council. So it is really important. So I would echo Councillor Daniel's comments.
May I just ask, could that point be made at full council this afternoon, please, with the Mayor's blessing? Because it is quite important that we have people at our groups.
The only thing I'd add, Chair, is that there's been a request made that it's going to be discussed at the next informal council for all members on the 1st of March. It's on the agenda for informal council.
Okay. Are there any meetings in between that time? While you're studying your diary, I saw a hand up. Is that you, Councillor Wood? Yeah.
It was, yeah. I wonder if because you know we're on our different groups, but we are invited to go to other groups. That's correct, isn't it? If we wish to, I wonder if we can all have all the invites in our calendars to all of the groups, so that we know when they are.
That'll be absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. So recommendation 2, is everybody happy to note now? Okay, thank you very much. Right, if we could go back to item 6 then, please, Councillor Daniel. You happily say that, but haven't had any questions on the report yet.
Any questions?
Councillor Kimber's got lots.
Oh, yes.
Okay, is this the right time to ask them? Thank you. Do you want to answer the question about the red? Is for new changes and for deletions, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a typo in the report, so red is for actions for deletion.
Yeah, that's fine. So that'll be tidied up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. It's easy to confuse me. So I'm looking at page 12 of the council. We're talking about the government's Green Homes Grant Scheme and working towards the delivery of the scheme. So it's great to see uptake of these schemes, but I really want to know what the demographic is. So how many people in low income groups will take advantage of these schemes? It talks later on in a following report about reducing fuel poverty. but I would imagine most people benefiting from the grants could easily afford higher fuel prices. So will the metrics, my question is, will the metrics include income levels or council tax band of the homeowners taking up these grants?
Thank you, Chair. The Green Homes grants are only able to be applied for by people on a low income. So there is an income threshold in terms of if you're able to apply or not. So those groups are certainly being targeted by that initiative.
Great, that's very reassuring. Page 14. This is following the borough-wide survey with co-cars and co-bikes, talking about setting up a potential test site. And I was just wondering how our communities can be included in setting up the test site and what the process might be.
Williams? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So we're just in the early stage of discussing with co-cars what the logistics and cost of setting up a test site are. So we have locations of where people responded quite favourably to the survey. So those are locations that we'll be looking to target. So thinking main towns mostly, but it's just a case of investigating how much that's going to cost and how long for. But in terms of involving residents, I mean, we'd probably look to discuss that with the community forum and get their steer on it as well.
Okay, we'll be very interested to see how it works in a smaller town and not just the larger towns. But in my next question, just keep going for it. Okay, so we're talking about increase on page 19. We're talking about increasing the uptake of cycling in West Devon and encouraging the use of shared EV cycles and e-couriers. So are we lobbying Devon County Council about the issue of the poor condition of the roads for cyclists in particular?
You're going to try that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we definitely can do. It's not something we're doing actively at the moment, but I can raise that with the Devon Climate Emergency Partnership.
Okay, so you're saying we as councillors need to be lobbying?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the last ONS meeting, didn't we have a decision to lobby council about the state of the roads and the lack of funding? I think Councillor Sellis brought that motion. So I think we already are lobbying, but I don't know whether we specifically said it's really dangerous for cyclists as well, but that might give more weight to our argument.
I just think when I'm cycling along at the moment and the standard for a pothole to be filled is like that, and you hit that in a bicycle with the holes filled up with water in, it's a disaster. So.
Mr. Powell?
Thank you, Chair. I think this is a classic example of something that will be really well dealt with through the Devon Carbon Plan, because clearly Devon County are represented there, all the other authorities are. It's not just a problem for West Devon, it's a problem for the whole area. And if we're going to promote more cycling and more active travel, that's one of the issues we need to face up to. So I think by feeding into the Devon Climate Plan, that'll be our best way forward, as well as members lobbying.
My worry is that it will cater for towns, but not for villages.
Councillor Spetke, was it a point on this issue?
No, Chair. Separate question.
Page 19, we're allocating sites for renewable energy. And preliminary work is underway and a brief is developed ready for tender. So the question really is, who's tendering for what?
Mr. Williams?
This is obviously something that'll be led by the JLP partnership. But the work being done is to get ready a tender so we can commission someone to undertake a study of what sites are available in our areas across the JLP partnership. Yeah, it's a requirement for us to do that as well.
Did I just ask this question? Sorry, I've got to catch up with myself. So yes, on page 21, we talk about supporting more approaches by communities for trees on West Devon owned sites, planting on our own land. But the Meath Quarry Nature Reserve, which is near me, have got a tree nursery. I think that's done in combination with the Devon Wildlife Trust. I just wondered if you're aware of that and if you're working with them.
Yeah, so I spoke to our grounds maintenance specialist about this, and yeah, he's aware of the Meath Quarry, tree nursery that's growing trees under the 7 Saving Devon's treescapes initiative, which is a response to the ash dieback. So we've got an obligation to replace trees that have been taken away from ash dieback.
Okay, really happy we're talking about that because it's indigenous species.
And could I just say that in our natural regeneration site, although we've have been recommended to let what grows there grow naturally because it's much better, you tend to get a better outcome. It takes a bit longer. We will be considering planting if we need to in the future, so we'll bear that in mind. Thanks.
It'll be great if we could use trees which are used to their natural local conditions. Page 21, encouraging individuals to look at the impact of their diet and support the increase in the consumption of in-season locally produced food, which I think is great. Are we including plans to promote local markets with that initiative?
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, so we do promote local markets through our communications work, and obviously we do that through the through our communications channels at the moment.
Just one more. Page 21, this is a simple one, having a presence at community events. I'm guessing we won't forget Oh Captain Show.
If there's an opportunity, absolutely not.
Right, we've got Councillor Moody next, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm having a slight problem hearing not terribly good sound quality on this call today, but on that issue of the tree planting, I have just one question. It's prompted me to ask a question which I hadn't planned on asking. Have we been in contact with the Tavistock Town Council? Because in the centre of town is the Bannerwell Street Park, which is a very large grassed field, quite a few acres, I would have thought, probably 2 or 3 acres or so, with no trees on it whatsoever. Have we contacted Tavistock Town Council with a proposal of possibly planting trees there?
Williams, is that you?
Yeah, I can answer that for sure without speaking to our grounds maintenance specialist first. I am aware that he does speak with them quite frequently, and there was some work being done to try and get a bid in under the Urban Tree Challenge Fund at the time. So I'm aware the discussions are going on, but in relation to that site, no, but I can find out for you.
Okay, thank you. I've got 2 other questions based on the report. The first one is on page 25, which is it's OP14, which is about reduction of commuting and business mileage. As we discovered when in the first lockdown,